The weather a week ago today in Pennsylvania was very unusual for February, with several rounds of thunderstorms and 2 tornadoes. Prior to last Wednesday, only 1 tornado had been reported in the state in February since 1950. Now here's the surface map last Wednesday evening around the time of the tornadoes. The storm was centered in Ohio. Central pressure 987 millibars. That's low for a storm over land. A complex set of fronts extended from the low, separating pretty dissimilar air masses, including a warm front in eastern Pennsylvania that had temperatures and even dew points near or above 60 to its south. A squall line of thunderstorms formed ahead of the occluded and cold fronts farther west and then moved northeastward along that warm front. Now, to get a tornado, you first need rotation in a thunderstorm to make that happen. The wind speed needs to increase quickly as you go up. And here's the difference in wind speed between the surface and 3,000 feet up at that time. More than 50 miles per hour in eastern Pennsylvania. Now, for the lower atmosphere, this is very significant, what we call vertical wind shear. And it was a key ingredient in spinning up the tornadoes. Here we've plotted a white dot for every lightning strike that day. The tendency for the dots to line up in streaks from south-southwest to north-northeast gives away the general movement of individual thunderstorms within the squall line, and thus the general movement of the 2 tornadoes. They were both short-lived. The one in Bradford County had a path length of only 1 mile, with winds estimated at 100 miles per hour. While the strongest winds with the tornado in Lancaster County were estimated at 125 miles per hour. In just 7 minutes, that tornado traveled about 5 miles over a path 400 yards wide. A tornado is rated based on the worst damage it causes. Here the red triangles indicate those areas, a 2 on the damage scale from 0 to 5. Yellow triangles indicate slightly less damage, 1 on that scale. This is actually a good example of how a tornado's intensity typically varies during its lifetime. About 50 buildings were damaged, including a large 1-room schoolhouse which was destroyed. But there were no injuries, in large part because the tornado warning came out 17 minutes before the funnel touched down. Here's a close-up radar image of Lancaster County around 7 p.m. last Wednesday. This is not a conventional radar image. Instead, it's called storm relative velocity. Different colors indicate the motion of precipitation particles in the air. It's a bit messy, but greens represent particles moving toward the radar, which is off the screen to the southwest, while red indicates particles moving away from the radar. We look for areas where a blob of red is right next to a blob of green. This close proximity of winds that are completely opposite in direction indicates a pocket of rotation within a thunderstorm that might produce a tornado. And that's the signature that prompted the tornado warning. Talk of severe weather has given way to chill and even some snow in the short term. But what about the extended forecast? Stay tuned. That's next.